Love Story.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Love Talk Show, where you can learn the intelligent love. I'm James, and I have here, this couple that came straight from Plasto, right? Isaac and Bianca. How are you doing, guys?
Fine, thanks, Pastor.
Good. Ready to share your love story?
Yes.
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 Have you ever been in love therapy before?
Yes, I have, Pastor.
Yes. And do you believe that the love therapy helped you to build the relationship you have today?
Definitely, Pastor. It definitely helped me to understand how to deal with my emotions, especially when dating, and how to make sure that I make the right decision and use my mind at all times.
And what about you, Bianca?
Yes, we attended both separately before we started dating and together while we were dating as well. And I think it helped me as well, not only just in love life, but with my family members as well.
So, let me start with you first, Isaac. So, tell me please where you came from, how was your love life? What was your idea of love life before? Share with us a little bit where Isaac came from.
Sure, Pastor. So before I was invited to come to church, in terms of my love life, I wasn't in any relationship because I saw from my mom and dad how they've been together for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my goals, my personal goal, was to only date someone if I can see myself marrying that person. So that's what I kept for myself. So that made me then create a lot of standards and a lot of little tick boxes of what to look for.
And that's really good. That's really good. But can you see the importance of a good reference? Because though you were not yet in God's presence, but just because you had a good reference of marriage, you set this goal. This is what I want.
Yes, Pastor.
This is what I want. But this is what happened also on the other hand. When people, they have a bad example, they say, I don't want married. I don't want you to be in a marriage because I don't want you to suffer like my parents are suffering. I don't want you to go through disappointment. So for you was a different situation.
It was, Pastor. And to your point as well, one of the things that I would see from like people that I know that would be in a relationship and then break up, and I'll see the pain that they'll go through. So I was thinking, why should I go through that moment for myself? So that's the sort of thing that I kept for myself before.
Very intelligent, by the way, because there are people that sometimes, apparently they don't take their lessons. They see people suffering. They say, yes, I want to do that as well. Oh, I don't understand. So you had this brilliant idea to say, okay, this is what I want. This is what I don't want in my love life. So you set this goal. I want to be in a relationship like my parents.
Exactly, Pastor. Yeah.
But of course, you were not yet in God's presence. And how, what did you do for you to start doing that? For you to start building that, if you had started before?
So because I wasn't in God's presence, all I had again was the reference of my parents. So then I would use my mom as a reference to what to look for in a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always, because I'm from an African background, I always think of how my parents would see that person if I was to bring them to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was very strict on education as well, and he wouldn't allow me to have my grades slip at any point. So that was another thing that I'll put within my mind. If I find someone now to date, to talk to, am I going to get married to them right now? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not go through that pain. So that's how I was trying to manage that situation and not allow myself to date anybody. There were people that I liked in that time, and there were people that I tried to like or date. But then I would be friend zoned, as I can say. So I never officially dated anybody before coming to church. I just had this list for myself and what to look for.
Which is, Isaac, a great privilege that, just few people had this privilege of preserving themselves for this very special moment. But I'm not saying that those who didn't have this privilege because of their spiritual ignorance, that they will not be happy. Because we understand that once we are in the presence of the author of love, all things they are made new, right? So Bianca, and what about you?
Well, I wasn't as strict with my standards as Isaac was. I was a bit more adventurous than him.
Okay.
So I was in one really long relationship when
Mm-hmm.
I was quite young, actually, for about 3 years. I think it was from when I was about 14 till 16 or 17.
Very young.
Yeah. It was very immature. It didn't turn out well in the end. So that didn't go so well. It was just always, it was very difficult. It was a bad breakup as well. So I think that left me really confused about love life as well after that. After that, I didn't really date anyone, but a lot of seeing different people, but not really anything that was committed.
And family-wise, how was your situation?
My mum and dad, they were together.
Was that kind of situation like Isaac? This is what I want.
Not quite, no. Not quite, no. I didn't have that type of reference. I did look to my mum a lot as a reference, but it wasn't in the same way that his parents were.
Okay. So we have here different paths. Someone that was already in a relationship and had a tough breakup, and Isaac that had this brilliant idea, though not yet in God's presence. Okay, let me preserve myself. Of course, a little bit of pressure from your parents, but which was good, by the way. And I believe now you can see how good was that.
Indeed.
You know, preventing pain and suffering, right? But it's so amazing to see that once we are in God's presence, no matter where you're coming from, you know, God can make things right. God can, once you, of course, you want to do things right. Okay, so you had this good background, you know, in thinking, you know, of having this mentality. I'm gonna date the person I will marry. Excellent. But I'm quite sure that once you were not in God's presence, your conception of relationships is a bit different from what you have now, right?
Yes, Pastor. So yeah, before coming to God's presence, even though I wanted to keep myself, as I told you before, there was still this element of fear of what would happen if I get married. Can I see myself staying with that person for a long time? What if I get bored? It was this daunting feeling that was hanging over my shoulders. So that was the perception that I had of married life. And yeah, it was something that was always there for me. Like, can I really do this? Like, commit myself forever? That was a fear for me.
And when you start attending the love therapy, Isaac, what you came to seek in the love therapy? What was the intention in the love therapy? You came to seek to find someone, or perhaps you came to find someone and then you understood, okay, let me first do this or that. What was your purpose in the love therapy when you started attending?
When I started attending at that time, I wanted to, because I heard that you should attend even if you don't have anyone in mind, just to work on yourself. So that was my main motivation to come for the first time when I came to love therapy.
So you didn't come to seek to find someone?
At that time, no.
Okay.
It was mainly purely based on advice that we've received, that it's best to invest, and then when you do find someone, you have done that investment, so you know what to do. So when I came, it was mainly to work on myself. At that time, when I was attending love therapy, it was mainly to deal with my emotions and my feelings, and basically to break down, because I had a lot of lists. I told you that I used my family as a reference point, but at the same time, that also became a barrier because I created my own set of list of what to look for, which then of course blindsides you because you can't really see what God wants to show you because you have your list. And that's one thing that I had to really work against, like to not have a list of what to look for, like, oh, it has to be like this, like that. Just have an open mind, work on myself, and allow God to show me who He wants me to be with.
Yeah, you know, it's important for us to have a list, you know, the things we want. This is very important, but I believe the main list we have to keep in mind is the list of the person I have to become. I believe that's the main list, because all of us will have this ideal. Okay, I want to find someone that is like this, and that. Okay, but what am I doing about myself to achieve this level? Because I have to be also, you know, at least compatible for me to find someone like that. And what about you, Bianca? So you had a relationship before. You said that was a tough breakup.
Yes, like you said, Pastor, we have to work on ourselves. And I think when I did come to the church, I realized how much that relationship affected me and affected my self esteem and confidence. So I think I actually came to the love therapy through the advice of the self help meetings.
I'm sorry, Bianca, but you know this is important, and if you don't mind, if you're comfortable with, of course, when you say that it affected your self confidence, I'm sorry, but if you don't mind, I would like to explore that point a little bit. You know why? Because there are many women watching us now that they have the same problem, and perhaps they don't know how to overcome. Women that are watching us now, that when they see you here with your husband, perhaps they for them it's like impossible to see themselves in a situation like that. You know, to be here talking about the blessed love life you have. Of course, challenges, all of us we have it, but you're here, you're together. You know, you built something. People that like you, perhaps when you were there in that situation, perhaps you couldn't see where you are now. So, what exactly was that? You know, this problem you had with your self-esteem, and what, if you don't mind, if you don't mind to share with us.
I think it was that I let my standards slip. I did have some standards that Isaac was speaking about, like I knew
You
what
had your
is-
list also.
I had a yes, but I let those standards slip when I thought, maybe this person doesn't exist, maybe it's too much, and you can't start to make those little exceptions for people. Oh, let me just give that person some leeway. Oh, they did something I didn't like, but maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe this, maybe that, and before you know it, you are letting someone in your life that it's not really good for you, or you're in a relationship where it's not really going anywhere and it's not the way that you wanted or expected, and you're trying to force it to work and trying to force it to stay together, and it just really doesn't work.
Have you ever thought, have you ever crossed your mind, thoughts like, okay, this is not for me. Perhaps I have to deal with myself and be alone, or I don't know, this kind of thoughts.
I had I was a bit how could I say I became a bit bitter towards love life,
Okay.
especially towards men as well. I thought they're all the same. They all
Okay,
say
yeah.
things. They all just trying to get something out of you. But that's the kind of attitude I had before coming to the church.
And what did you do to start healing these wounds in your heart?
When I came to the church, I think I just acknowledged that I got it wrong. I acknowledged that, I thought I knew what was best and I didn't know what was best at all. And I was very open to understanding myself and changing the way that I saw myself as well, and just learning to value myself. When I initially came to the love therapy, it wasn't about me finding anyone. It was about me valuing myself, seeing myself the way that God sees me. Like I said, I came through the self-help meetings. I was advised to come, and when I did come, that healing process took place when I decided to look at myself and start to heal from those wounds and the bitterness and understand why I had those things.
So different from Isaac, that came with a list. You came, you didn't bring your list in the love therapy. You came for you to rebuild
open,
yourself,
yeah.
to heal yourself. And how was this process, this journey of you healing yourself and learning more about what to expect in your love life?
I think that it started initially with me just looking at myself and learning to love God first. Once you love God first, then you can see with different eyes. When you love God and you allow Him in your life, you can see your love life differently. You don't see with that bitterness, with the past traumas anymore. You see relationship the way that God intended it to be.
Yeah, because that's the first true experience with true love. When we find first His love, when we find the love of the author of love, so we have a standard. Okay, that's the love I need. This is what I need for my life. Of course, the love that God, has towards us and we have towards Him is a different kind of love, is a different level of love, but it is a reference. It is a reference because when you think about God's love, we think about a love that is based on surrender, a love that is based on care. And this is the kind of love that we have also to show towards God. A love that will cause my surrender to Him, a love of obedience, dedication, and this is a reference. That's why, that when you read the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, you can see that God is always using to illustrate His relationship with us, a marriage. You go to Isaiah and you see God saying, I am your husband. You go to Matthew, you see Jesus, speaking about the kingdom of God using the parables of the brides. You see, in Revelation, the Bible, calling the church as the bride and Jesus as the groom. So these comparisons, they are all around. Because this is the first reference. That's the very first experience. And that's the mistake that many people do, especially when they attend love therapy. They come for, like 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then come on, nothing's happening. Because they come to find someone. But they have first to find the right order, dear friend, for you to achieve success in your love life. You have to have 3 different encounters. The first encounter, the encounter with God. You have to encounter the author of love. Otherwise, you have no reference. The second encounter, you have to encounter yourself. You have to acknowledge your own situation to see who you are. Because when you acknowledge your own situation, you understand what you need to work in yourself to improve in yourself. And third, and only after these 2 first encounters, then you will be able to find the person that you want. And so both of you had this first and second encounter, right? We encountered the author of love, and you found, okay, so this is what I need to work on myself. So you had to work in your insecurities and everything. Do you remember how long roughly did it take for you to go through this process and achieve, okay, now I'm healed, now I'm okay?
I think maybe about 3 years, to... So sometimes there's things that you just don't realize until you're in a situation and you're like, oh, I still have this. So sometimes there's a lot of roots that you're just digging through and finding out. But I think it was around 3 years. Yeah.
But these 3 years, they were a time of desperation, a time of anxiety. Come on, I have to find someone.
Oh no.
Did you enjoy your journey of healing yourself?
It was something that was just natural. It wasn't something that was forced. It was something where I was just discovering new things about myself every day, and I was enjoying my journey just with God. And it wasn't anything where I was under any pressure.
And you, Isaac, because though you had this very good conception of, okay, this is what I want, but you probably found things in you that you had to change, right?
Yes, Pastor. So I mentioned that I had my list.
Yeah.
But that list was also a hindrance, because what it led me to do was not to trust God with my love life, because I started to control how I want things to be for me. So when I, as you mentioned, there were 3 encounters we need to have, encounter with God and then with ourselves. What God showed me is I wasn't trusting for my love life, because I was trying to direct it in the way that I wanted it to be.
You were trying to show God the way.
Exactly. So there's a lot of pride I had to let go of, to humble myself that I don't know everything. There was also like this eagerness that I could say I had of, I can find whatever I want if I'm ready, which I had to also let go of, and just trust God and give basically my list to God. Whether they were good or bad, just let God have that list so that I can trust Him to show me who He wants me to be with. So that's something I had to basically work on, my pride, humbling myself and trusting God with my love life, because I thought I knew best. I've done so well with it. I can then go and find somebody by myself, but that's not how it works. I need to let God into my life and not try to take things and hold on to things. I have to trust Him with everything.
Okay. So now we are in that phase that you were healed. Healed, good, ready, but still alone. Okay, so let's understand how things start to happen between you guys. That's my favorite part. What do you think, Shad? That's our favorite part, right?
Always, Pastor. I
Oh.
think our most memorable moments are from this moment.
Yes, of course it is.
I'll let Bianca start.
Okay. Just answer me, please, the first question. That's the
Okay.
most. That's the most wanted question here. Who fell in love first?
I think it was me. I think.
Okay. So you should start, Bianca.
So I liked him. I was working on I was in a VYG together, and
Okay.
I was
Were you in the same branch
yes,
in Plasto?
yes.
Okay, good.
And I was working in the media team at the time, and I was helping with the designs and stuff. And I knew that he knew a bit about designing things, so I was asking him for some help with the load.
Okay. Could you help me to design here? A hoard. Okay, never mind.
So as we was working together, for a long time, about 3 years. So I had to realize
3 years.
Yeah.
And in these 3 years, you had something.
No, not from the beginning. It wasn't from the
Okay.
beginning. No,
Okay.
it was on probably by the 3rd year. I started to realize as I was observing him, so I realized, oh, he's pretty nice. He's a nice person. He's a nice guy. He's a man of God. I think I like him.
But this relationship came from a friendship before.
Yes.
You were friends.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I spoke to my pastor's wife, and I decided, okay, I'm going to tell him.
Okay, so you were the brave one. Okay, hold on. So Isaac, you've been friends for 3 years, right?
Yes, Pastor.
And how was Bianca as a friend?
I noticed that she was very, how can I say, like, if I could say detective type, asking questions just
Okay.
to find out. Because I would come.
It was
with
Bianca Bond.
Exactly. I will come up with a mindset of I'm gonna help you with this design and that's it. But then she was trying to understand how my day was, how's my family, how am I doing. So there's always more.
And
to
you're
the,
thinking, okay, but this
It's
is
got
not
nothing
about
to do with design. So I was just always like, I'm doing the work and that's it.
Okay.
But as time went on, she was helping me. So I had my own, like I said, I had design background, but she was giving feedback that was allowing me to become better as a person within that field. So I started to see as a friend that I could trust in terms of like asking for feedback, because she would give me honest feedback on my designs. And that's as much as I would probably go with asking for help. But being Bianca as she was, she kept trying to find out more about me in every time that we spend working on the designs together.
And you never had a thought, never.
And it never hit me past that.
I'm telling you, we men, we are too slow, my friend. Can you see the living proof? It's not only him, we men, we are too slow to just see the signs. Can you see? So that's why you women, please have mercy on the guy you like. Because sometimes, he doesn't like me. Perhaps it's not even that. He didn't know yet. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I never hit me, Pastor. Never once did I see that. I think there's even times that, because she was in the bookshop, there'll be times that, because she would be with somebody else in the bookshop working together, and they'll make references to that. But I
Okay.
still wouldn't pick it up. So I was just very, very like focused on doing this. And
Okay.
that's it.
Design. Let's design. And she was trying to design her love life, and you were okay. Let's design here.
So yeah, it was basically I missed all the signs, if I can say.
Okay. And how was that for you, Bianca? Be frustrating.
Yes, it was very frustrating. There was even one point where I just said to him, so we've been spending a lot of time together. I just said it. I just said, I think I like you. I want to get to know you more. And he just said, okay.
Come on, Isaac.
He didn't understand. I don't think he understood what I said.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, to be fair. I know she does. I don't. But according to her, my response was very bland, very okay. But yeah.
What was really like that? Okay.
It's just like, he was like, okay. And I said, so what should we do about it? He was like, I don't know. He didn't say anything. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go now. I don't know what else to say. I had nothing else to add to that. So then after that, I spoke to my pastor's wife. I explained the situation, and And she said something that I already had in my mind, which was just, just value yourself. Just
Yeah.
leave him. Let him do his thing, and he will see. You see if
Because
he's
you have already done what you had to do. you declared your feelings. Bianca, this is really important. And thank you very much for sharing that. You know why? Because sometimes women, they think, no, I am the precious gem. If he like me, he has to come to speak to me. Sometimes that will happen. But sometimes, as I'm telling you, men, sometimes they are a bit slow, like Isaac, like me as well. And this, Isaac, this is somewhat good for us sometimes, because they're women. It happened to me already, even as a pastor, a lady that she was, trying to, and I didn't notice that. She was being very malicious, with her intentions, and coming all the time. Oh, pastor, could you pray for me? And once my wife saw, say, okay, I know what kind of prayer you need. Because we sometimes a bit slow to notice that. Excuse me. But that's why it's important, you women, if you like, a guy, please, of course, can you see the strategy? That's a very good strategy. Discover whatever his skill. If he designs, so, okay, I need a designer. If he's a builder, I need a builder. Right, Bianca? Of course, you told me that the feelings came afterwards, right? That was not your intention from the beginning. But I understood your story, and people understood as well. But I'm just telling that because sometimes women, they think, oh, no, I cannot make the first move. You should. You of course, you not be on the guy all the time, because this is what it did, right? You made the first move. You declared yourself. You were clear. And sometimes we men, we have a problem with, a reading situation sometimes, because women, the way they communicate, Isaac, is really different. You've been married for 3 years now. You know what I mean.
Pastor, yeah,
yes,
I know what you mean.
the communication is completely different. No means yes, yes means no.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always like that. It's always like that. Do you agree with me?
Yes, Pastor. 100%.
Shah, take notes. Take notes, Shah.
You have to read between the lines.
Exactly.
If you take a face value, you're always
no,
gonna be wrong.
never, my friend, never. If you ask your wife, "Oh, how are you doing today?" "I'm fine." She's not fine. She's not fine. You have to sit down and listen to your woman. Anyways, so women, when they communicate, they communicate in a different way. Women sometimes, they don't need even to finish the sentence. They already know what they mean. And we have a different communication. We men, we must be very clear, Our yes means yes, our no means no, so the communication is very straight. Women, they have a different communication. What is right, what is wrong? None. Both are right. We are just different. And women, you must understand, that. So sometimes it's not because the guy, he doesn't like me. Perhaps it's true, he doesn't like you, but things can change, as change here, right? So Bianca, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to make some comments because this is really, really nice. So you made the first move, right? It was there in the bookshop, in Plasto. It was in Plasto.
It was in Plasto.
I can imagine everything because, I know Plasto. I know the church. So you are there, but can you? Does it happen to you, Shaz?
Yes, Pastor. Like you come in straight through the entrance.
Yes.
And then you can just see Isaac.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Bianca. So continue, please.
So
was that in the bookshop?
It wasn't in the bookshop.
Come on, tell us, please. We need details.
It wasn't in the bookshop. I think it was a phone call, actually. Yeah.
Oh, phone call. Okay.
And so after that phone call ended, I spoke to our pastor's wife and I just said, I'm just gonna leave him. I've done my part. I'm gonna value myself. We still continued working together, but I kept it very straight to the point. I stopped, how's your family, all this stuff. I just
so you stopped that.
Let him be. If he wants, he wants. If he doesn't want, God will provide someone else.
Hold on, Isaac. When Bianca told you that, what happened there?
I couldn't understand why she was cold. I was thinking, what did I do wrong? So I think I don't know if I called her a message, but I was trying to find out what happened, like where did I go wrong? And I think she tried to tell me that I said to you that I like you, but you just said okay, and I said I don't know what else to say. So I think it wasn't going right. So she made it very straight to point with every communication, and that's when it hit me, because I was thinking, okay, if I don't like this person, it doesn't bother me if they're not talking to me anymore.
Yeah.
But it started to bother me, and I was asking myself, why does it bother me if she's not talking to me anymore? And then I was looking back at our journey working together, and it hit me that
the seed was sold.
she likes me and I actually like her, but it's like I was almost hiding my feelings and not trying to show it. So it's like I was just not seeing what she was trying to tell me, and I had to basically decide to go and speak to her to see if I can make amends. But it didn't go well again. I messed up again with what I said, which made it even more worse.
Come on, Bianca, you liked him. Why you were being so difficult now?
I don't think it's what it wasn't what she did. It was what I said.
Okay.
It's what I said to her, which didn't.
Okay. It didn't work.
Yeah, I think he tried to speak to me again, but this time he was like, I thought that he was like, oh, I want to talk, but he just didn't make his intentions clear. He was just like, oh, if you want, then we can speak to each other.
Oh, come on,
if you want,
if
you want, like.
Oh.
I have a question, because you know how you guys were friends for a long time. Did you know he was like this, or was this like a
revelation?
Was this like a revelation for you? This response.
Oh, it's kind of hard because you're not we wasn't in a relationship together, so you don't know how that person's gonna be in a relationship. It could be completely different.
Oh yeah,
from a
it's different.
friendship.
It's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
So I didn't think that he would have that type of response. I thought he'd be a bit more switched on. So
But definitely that was not your intention, right?
No, it's like, as you were saying, men are very strict to point.
Yes.
I just couldn't articulate what I wanted to say,
Yeah.
so I picked the wrong words, said the sentence, and just
You just try to be very direct. Okay,
Yeah.
what do we do now?
Yeah, it just
It
messed
didn't
up.
work.
And then it went straight to the pasta. That's what happened afterwards. It didn't work.
yeah, then the pastor had to fix everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so we both went to our pastor at that point,
Okay.
and then he helped clarify what was happening, and basically said what I wanted to say, and said to us, speak to each other and see if it's gonna work or not. Which I wanted to say, but I just didn't know how to.
So you had a proper date then when you you went out to have a talk.
We started to talk.
Okay.
To see if we will ever date, or if this will ever go anywhere. So we never really dated. We just kept talking.
Okay.
And after a month, we went on an official date, and then we started
So
dating.
how was the first date?
It was good.
Do you remember?
I remember.
Please, Isaac.
It was we went to Winter Wonderland
Okay.
on our first date. I think it was around either the time of our birthday or around December, one of those two. So we went for Winter Wonderland for
Winter time.
for our first date, and it was very nice because I've never been before then, and she's been before and said it would be a good place to go. So then we booked and went, spent some time together, got to know each other more, and then from there we spoke to our pastor again, said that we were going to be dating, and that's what.
And when things start changing inside of you, in regards Bianca, the way that you saw Bianca, from that moment that she came and declared herself to you?
From that moment, like I said, I didn't see.
Yeah.
But after we started dating, it's like everything was falling into place. And all the friendship that was built over the 3 years made it easier to date, because it's like I knew her, but it's like I didn't allow myself to process that I actually know her. So in the dating process, it was more of getting to know her more as opposed to starting from scratch. And then I found that she was very easygoing, very fun, bubbly. We got on really well. And I was just thinking, how did I not see this? And I was just, very happy in that moment. Yeah.
And how was that, Bianca, for you to break the ice? Because
it was hard because I had to put myself out there to try and break the ice, and it didn't go the way that I expected it to go. But something funny happened because after after that happened, I didn't, I like I said, I distanced myself from him. I was like, hey, I've just left him now. But there was a meeting in the service, I think. There was a service, and in that meeting, the pastor was talking about love life, and he said, you have to put yourself in a person's shoes and see where they're coming from. So then I started to put myself in his shoes and see, okay, maybe he didn't know, he's never been in a relationship before, maybe he didn't know how to speak. So I was more open to connecting with him again. And that's how, it started, and we started to date.
And how long you dated for?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yes, Pastor.
And when you were sure, okay, that's the Bianca is the one. When you were sure, also Bianca, okay, Isaac is the one. When you were really sure about it.
So yeah, this is where I made more mistakes, if I can say. So after dating, I think within the first maybe 2 or 3 months, I said the famous three-letter word, which is a sentence, which is I love you.
Okay.
Because in that moment I was thinking this can work, so I said that, and then it didn't work because she said to me, "How can you love me? You're not really dating me properly." And I was like, "Oh."
Oh, so she was being Isaac now.
And now I'm thinking, so I had to then backtrack again. It's like, "You're fine."
Okay.
And then, but deep down, I knew that this was gonna work. From the first few months of dating.
But Isaac, she said that, but she liked. She liked that.
Probably.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now you can tell that, please. What was your reaction when you heard that from him?
At first, I was a bit skeptical. I was a bit like, is he serious this time? Like, what's going on here? It's a bit early.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to understand what he likes about me and if he really knows what he's saying this time.
Yeah. Well, really, the meaning of these three words and everything.
It's very, because if I put myself in her shoes, as she was saying, I went from I don't like you to 2 months later, I like you, I love you. It's like it's just too
in
quick.
2 months.
It was
Oh,
very,
now I understand you,
yeah. Because it was working on the designs for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
She declared she likes me. I didn't.
And after
take
2
it
months,
up.
okay, I love you.
Yeah. So it just didn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
How was this 2.5 years for you, Bianca?
The dating
Dating time, yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. We got to know each other very well. I got to know his family very well. I think that was the most important thing as well. One of the most important things was getting to know how he is with his family and how his family is, because that's where a lot of when you get married, that's where a lot of your standards come from, like how we spoke about in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So to understand how he sees family and his relationship with them was important for me.
And when you were sure, okay, Isaac is the one, what made you sure about him?
What made me sure?
Yeah.
I was sure.
What made you sure? Okay, when you okay, that's enough. He's the one.
I think it was just the journey that we went on together. It was the journey of being friends, and then when we actually started dating, it was like how much he grew from before when we was friends to when we was dating, because before he was so rigid in the way that he would see things. He had his checklist, and now he's become more open-minded. Even I used to make jokes. I used to say that he's a bit of a robot, very mechanical. But he became more open-minded, and just seeing that transformation, I knew that it was God working in him. He was changing. I think when you're with someone and you're becoming better and they're becoming better, that's how you know this is from God, because you're both growing together.
And you, Isaac, what made you sure about Bianca?
Similar to what she was saying, got to meet her family as well, and I saw that, as she was saying, I was basically growing as a person. One thing that I heard and I kept for myself, almost like an indicator for my love life dating period, is I heard if you're dating someone and then that dating period distance you from God, then you should reconsider if that dating and that person is for you. So I was always watching my relationship with God. Is that being impacted?
Very good.
And if it's not being impacted, then I can carry on dating this person and see if it's going to go anywhere or not. So that was one of my guide. And then from there, I would always, as you said, I'd never dated anyone before. So I'll always make sure that I was involving God in everything that I was doing, so He can also guide me to know if Bianca was for me or not. And then from doing that, that's how I get to my decision. Okay, this is gonna work.
And you know, Isaac, sometimes there are people that they think, okay, but how is it possible? You're gonna marry the first person you dated. You need to have experience. You need to to experiment the world and these and that. But look, the experience you had and the experience you are having, it's amazing. It's amazing because you're saving your heart from pain, disappointments, and what you have today is just amazing. The proposal. Do you remember the proposal?
I remember.
You better remember the proposal.
We had this restaurant that we wanted to go for some time, but we wasn't able to book. So that's what I ended up booking for the proposal. So I called the restaurant, told them what's going to happen, told them when it's going to happen, and how I think I wrote the message on the dessert and everything. So I told them how. And
Okay.
And then eventually.
So it was something well designed.
It
by
was.
the designer.
So that's what happened. We booked like a normal dinner together, and then whilst we was having dinner, when dessert came, that's when I proposed to her.
Do you remember that day?
Yeah, it said on the plate, it had in chocolate, will you marry me? So, because he knows I like chocolate, so I think that's why he did
it. So can you see? It was impossible to deny. So because it would be either you marry me or you lose the chocolate.
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent. So now you are 3 years married, right?
Yes, Pastor.
And how is this journey? Because a marriage, life in marriage is completely different from dating, right?
Yeah.
And how is this process? Because as Bishop Macedo wisely says, a couple, for them to be indeed, married to each other is like two potatoes. You have to boil them, and then you have to mash the potatoes for two potatoes become just one thing.
Yeah.
How has been this process of Bianca and Isaac becoming just one thing?
So I'll probably use a word that I think we spoke about this between ourselves. I'll probably say sacrifice, because I had to, as you said, my family, my upbringing, I took all of that into my marriage.
Oh yeah.
I said before that
we all do that.
I said before about my mom and using that as a reference for finding a wife and so on. So I carried some of that into my marriage, and then placed unnecessary expectation upon my wife, which I had to remove. And then I had to also watch the way that I was around her in terms of this is my way, this is my house, it has to be like this. It's like a lot of control that I had to also let go of, because it's not my house, it's our house.
So you were be controlling in the beginning.
Exactly, Pastor. So I had to learn to basically everything that I thought was right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but to allow us to become one, I had to learn to adapt and not hold on to my way. It has to be what works for the marriage and not what I want.
That's a classical mistake of especially Christian men, because they think I'm the head. My friend, please understand things. Okay, you are the head, but you are just the head. The whole thing is your wife, so you really depend on her. Her voice is really, really, really important, and you must hear your wife. Bianca, how was this process for you?
For me, I think it was a bit smoother because I was open-minded from the beginning. So before we even got married,
Were you expecting this controlling
I was
side?
expecting something like this. So and I prepared myself for it. So I made sure I knew the things that he liked, like the things I like to eat. I learned how to cook all the dishes. I learned how the way
I'm sorry, but for some women, that is like, a humiliation, Oh, I have to do that to cook for him and do things he likes. Was that, something that make you feel like less than him?
No, it didn't make me feel any less. I just found it, I actually enjoyed it because I would see how happy he was when I was served the food and stuff like that. So I didn't really mind it, and I liked learning new things. So I got to spend time with his mom, learning that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his mom taught me how to cook the food that he likes, and
And that was never a burden for you.
no, I think, like I said, I was open-minded when it came to
Mhm.
relationship. I knew that I messed up before, and I was open to learning these things and being adaptable.
Mhm.
So it made my transition a lot easier. At times he would be a bit difficult, because he'll be like, oh, if I did one thing that wasn't exactly the way his mom would do it,
Oh,
it would
no.
be like, that's not the way my mom does it.
Oh, no. Isaac. You know you're wrong, right? Now you know.
It's like, but it's like in that moment, you almost can't help yourself but say something, but you shouldn't. It's yeah. I knew. It was
Okay.
wrong, right?
Okay. She forgave you. And how, so in now, Isaac, how is this controlling side?
No, now, sorry. Now I've understood that we're one, and
Yeah.
for us to remain one, I need to let go of what I think I know, and always keep learning, as she said, and just learn to just move on and not allow anything to hold us back. So if we had any disagreements, or if we argued over something little, just to make up and not allow this little thing just to affect our relationship going forward. So it's just learning to sacrifice, learn to let things go, not taking many things to heart, and just communicating as much as possible, because many times when there will be any disagreements, it's because we just didn't communicate, and if we just spoke about what each other was doing, it wouldn't cause any problems. So it's just learning to communicate in our marriage, understanding one another. I understand her more, and as you're saying, I know what she means when she says something that she
Now
doesn't-
you know.
Yeah, and now I know, so I'm
Yeah.
able to pick that up quickly and respond. So yeah, it's been really good.
Bianca, if you could use one word to describe the greatest lesson you learned in this journey, especially in the marriage stage of your life, maybe not a word is too short, but what would you say, the main lesson you got from this? And also, let me add to this question: do you see an improvement in yourself spiritually, personally, after marriage?
I would say, if it was a word, I'd say trust, and it would be to trust in God. I think I've learned that, we're not perfect people. Like, you're never going to have a perfect marriage. But if you trust in God, he makes everything that was wrong right. And there's been times, like you said, he was a bit controlling, and I didn't nag. I would never nag him. If he did something I didn't like, I'll just go and tell God. And then the next day, he would
Very
change his
wise.
mind. All of a sudden, he'll change his mind. I know it was God that changed his mind. So, I think I've learned to trust a lot more in God, and just allow him to lead my love life, instead of, because I was open in the beginning, I was able to humble myself and allow God to lead, and trust him in it. That's why we was able to have this type of marriage that we have now.
Great. You, Isaac?
I'll still use sacrifice, because I had to learn to basically humble myself at home and not think I'm the head. So I have to get my way all the time.
You are the head, but not the controlling head.
Exactly, Pastor. And it's just like helping in the house, helping with the cooking, helping with things that.
Oh, you do that?
Yes, Pastor.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
But then previously I thought I'm not meant to be doing that. But it's just learning to not have my traditional mindset, but get rid of that, sacrifice, and help. Because as she was saying, you go through a lot in your marriage. There've been times where either I'm not feeling well or she's not feeling well, and I have to sacrifice to also look after her.
Yeah.
And that also tests your marriage as well,
Yeah.
because it shows if you really love that person and care for them. Because in that moment they're unwell, are you going to sacrifice and look after them, and also do what you need to do in the house, and do what you need to do for your own spiritual life? So for me, it's mainly sacrifice, like forget about myself and make sure that she is okay. And if I do that, she would make sure that I'm okay, so we both benefit from each other.
Would you exchange this life for any other single life?
No, Pastor, no.
Great. Excellent. So can you see, dear friends, one more result of people that they decide to practice and to live the intelligent love. Isaac and Bianca, thank you very much for sharing with us your love story. I believe you blessed many, many people. Good night. Bye-bye.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.